Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
You still got work 9 to 5, meh?
I work 9 to 9, I think.
You're listening to
Jom Sembang, Malaysia.
So, alright, today we talk about this 9 to 5 thing. Do you know who started the 9 to 5 working hour kind of template and trend?
Not Dolly Parton.
No. It's actually started during the Industrial Revolution time where there's a lot of factory and manufacturer around, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, if you're manufacturing something or a factory, you want to keep producing a lot of stuff so that you can keep making money to cover your expenses, your costs and everything.
Oh, okay.
So,
like when the factory hours are open and everything.
That time got no working hours, what? So like, wow, everybody want to work longer because they get more money and all that. So there was not healthy kind of working environment.
Oh, okay.
Alright. And then productivity level was also low because everyone just want to work longer hour to get more money. Then they might not be as focused as before lah.
Okay, so then they instituted 9 to 5.
Yeah. So it was
so
actually inspired by Henry Ford.
Really?
Yeah. So in 1926, Henry Ford introduced a 5-day work week with a 8-hour days kind of concept. So it's actually introduced to his employees first.
Okay.
And it's not called 9 to 5. It's called a Ford schedule. You know, Henry Ford schedule.
Oh, okay.
So it started off like a Ford schedule.
Nice.
But for his employee lah. Okay, so that's how it started. And then he realized that ever since he started that, the productivity boosts up even though the hours are like
shorter.
Maybe shorter than normal or other factories. And then other factory decided that, it seems to work. This whole people got time to have lunch and work productively and then go home and rest properly. So it started to be adopted overall. That's one. But second thing is, those people who don't adopt also forced to adopt. Because why? He has the biggest factory or something like that.
Correct.
So if his factory closes at 5, then you continue working, you cannot call him, then other company tergendala.
He set the standard lah.
Like, you know,
Okay.
So they were like, hey, I need to continue working, but that company closed, then I cannot liaise or whatever.
Okay.
Then I must as well close together with them, then work together the same hour.
Wow.
So eventually worldwide, when you need to, like smaller companies trying to work with the big company and the big company closed from 9 to 5, so everybody just follow lah.
Well, talk about trend setting and influencer. Henry Ford, you the man.
Surprisingly, it's him. I never thought. I just never thought it was him lah.
But surprisingly, to think that now we've reverted back to the extra non-productive hours.
Life is like this, right?
Everything's a cycle, isn't it?
So for Henry Ford, his main objective was to boost productivity.
Okay,
so 9 to 5, having a time frame for certain things help you to boost productivity. So what do you think about this concept?
I think it actually makes sense because, now thinking about it, right? People need a structure to focus on certain things in life, right? And if I am told, okay, 9 to 5 is when I focus on, making car parts or whatever it is, right? Then I know there's a start and end to it. I can focus properly on that.
Correct.
And then after that, I can switch off to something else.
I think that's the beauty of 9 to 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Because my experience doesn't really count. Because in advertising, there's no 9 to 5.
Okay.
So that didn't count. But in the bank, it does. In the bank, like we all start at 8:45 actually.
Okay.
And then we clock in and then we finish at 5:45. So if you come any earlier, you call, nobody pick up your call.
Yeah.
And then after 5:45, you call, also nobody pick up your call.
It's like government almost,
But it's like if you don't bring back the office politic or drama and you're not emotionally attached to something in the office lah.
Yeah.
Okay, you can actually enjoy your after 5:45. It's like, woohoo, happy hour, do your family stuff. And the next morning you come back, bunch of coffee, start 8:45.
And you come with a fresh mindset almost.
Correct, because you feel rested. You're not constantly thinking about it unless you're a person who constantly overthink and worry lah.
Yeah.
But when I was working in the bank, I realized that despite all the politics and drama in a huge bank, there is actually proper rest. So the only time my rest is disrupted is when my CEO works on the weekend. And then because we all report to him directly under like a special team, right?
Yeah.
So he travel, he sees some branches, say, Gina, the ATM machine here spoil. Then it will kacau my weekend a bit. But other than that, it's not a very suck you in to a 24-hour thought process thought, work process thought.
But is it still like that though? Because I have friends who are working in, well, a friend who is working in the bank and she's still working at 10:30 at night.
So actually banks have different culture.
Okay.
There's different processes. So for example, if you're doing support work, then yeah, it's 24 hours. So like when we were under the CEO, right? ATM's boy, hello, it's supposed to be working 24 hours. So it's part of your job scope lah. So they might call you
so,
up.
Yeah, I mean, in any industry, there are those who are just on call, even like doctors or whatever, right?
Correct. Then you have bank officers that work as a tele counter.
That one you can
you
just
close
offer.
you go lah, because nobody is at your counter at that hour to call you, and the customer does not have your personal number. So different job scope in the organization allows you to work in that 9 to 5 kind of thing lah. But having said that, right, we also have call centers in the bank. So call centers, people work in 3 shifts, 8 hour, 8 hour, 8 hour. They also said, the 8 hour I like call, answer call, whatever. But the moment I finish, I hang up, I don't really care what happened in the call center anymore until I come back in.
So 9 to 5 doesn't necessarily mean 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's just a fixed hour. You clock in, and then once you clock out, you are not expected to reply WhatsApp or check your email or answer calls from the office lah.
Yeah. So I think what's interesting is today we talk about 9 to 5. Like you say lah, we're talking about a time frame of work lah, not so much as that 9 to
the
5
actual hours
lah. And then eventually it was supposed to be boost productivity, you know. But after that, people find that they work OT because it's double boost of productivity. And then they OT, and then it become no more working hours. But I can totally see how it got from a fixed time, 9 to 5, to extra hours.
Okay,
so for example, I used to like to go in the office early, 1 hour, to just read my email, catch up before the world wakes up and kacau me. But that is considered starting work already. I'm starting work 1 hour early.
But that's your choice, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of people start to do that. And then some people, they don't come early to work they will finish all their 9 to 5. After 5, where the phone stop ringing, then they sit down and do actual work.
Yeah.
So that might be how the non-boundaries of work hours started. Because we are unable to work during working hour. You know how people say, you need to manage your work. Then you say, the whole 9 to 5, I'm not managing my work. I'm just managing people or communication, but not the work. So after that, we spend the time outside of work hours to actually work, which I think what happened lah, that have removed the boundaries of a time frame because you kind of extend it to work lor.
But I think there's a difference, right, between you wanting to stay in a couple of hours, when it's, I don't know, maybe it might be waiting out the jam or whatever, and your boss expecting you to put in those extra hours. And this is not with overtime, because I think once you pass a certain threshold, you're not eligible for overtime anymore. So at what point do you think it became like suddenly the bosses are expecting people to stay on and it's not finishing what you want to finish, but it's like just overloading you with work?
I think it's not so much the overloading of work. It's just some bosses want their team to accompany them when they stay back. It's true. In the bank, I've met many different bosses. For example, my boss in the bank was very nice. He will come exactly 8:30, 8:45 we start work. You can see the whole office empty, but I'm early because I always take the train because I scared late. Okay, then he will sit down, he'll start work.
Okay.
5:45 sharp, he lock his door and he leave.
Okay.
And the rest of the staff like, why so? Like so on time. Wow, the bosses because all the bosses sit in all the room, one different department, or sit in a row, different personal room. You see other bosses will come either just on time or 5 minutes late, but they will stay back. So my boss is the one that I don't care about my peers staying back, I'm just going to go off. And the people who stay back expect their team to stay back. Others, when they're working, right, then they need something, they open the door.
Nobody,
Julita, I need something. Nobody. So that way it created that culture in a way lah. So there is 2 ways lah. One is you personally need the extra time to complete your work. The other one is your boss need the extra time, but he cannot do it alone, so you need to like demand to give supplement help or something like that. That actually happen quite often lah in the world. So I tell you a story about a working culture in the bank that is not very healthy after the break.
Okay. Today's episode is in support of the YWCA KL's brand new initiative called the YWCA Community Oasis. If you would like to be involved in greening up a space right in the middle of downtown KL, reach out to us on social media, YWCA KL.
Just said, I would like to green the place too.
Yes. Okay, so what's the story?
So the story is there was this, there's a different banks. So bankers normally work from one bank to another bank. It's very small world one.
Okay.
Then every 2-3 years, they might jump because that's how they get increment and stuff like that. Okay, so it's like a bank culture worker to jump every 2-3 years to different bank so that they get increment. And there's this particular bank that no one finish work before 7.
Okay.
Because even you have nothing to do, you finish work at 7, the moment you walk out, like the whole office floor, right? I don't know if you've been to a bank HQ. It's actually like maybe 40 people sitting in one floor, all the cubicle,
Everybody
the moment
stare at
you
you, is it?
yeah. So I remember my friend who moved to that bank recently, right, said that, it's the weirdest culture because she worked in 4 different banks. It's like, as long as you clock in between your hours and you finish your work, that's it lah. Sometimes you OT, sometimes you don't OT. That one, 7 o'clock, nobody stand up to
Wow.
clock out. 8 o'clock, then you start 1 or 2 person left. Then normally the last one off is 10. So 8 a.m. is their official, someone go out, hungry dinner and never come back, that kind of thing. So she said
That's clever.
hey, it's so unhealthy that she didn't know should I clock off at 7? Would I get into trouble with my boss? Even though it's technically HR wouldn't find me trouble, I finish work at 5:45.
Yeah.
So those were the kind of culture that eventually she only stayed 3 months.
Right.
Because she said, I need to arrive before 9 for work. And then I can only go back at 9, let's say 8 something 9. I have no life, nothing, no.
Yeah.
And I'm not productive because I go back tired. And then,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
the mental space, energy is not replenished properly lah.
But I have always thought this is a problem of greed, human greed, that, I mean, if you hire enough people with the right caliber, they should be able to finish their work within the time frame. But what happens is when people, let's say your friend, she resigned, then the bosses, right?
Don't hire people.
They don't hire, right? So now your workload, her workload is split between 2 people. So everybody has to carry that extra 50% of the work. And how to finish? You cannot finish what? Either that or their KPI is just ridiculous. And my theory is that, the company wants to keep on making so much money that all these people have to suffer lah in that sense. And then they will say, need to be productive, that kind of thing. I don't get it lah.
But I think it's interesting that you talk about greed just now, right? But you also realize that business owners or entrepreneur, the beginning startup fellas are also got no working hour. Every time zone is required or is valuable money to contribute to the project or business that they're growing. Does it consider as greed?
I think there's a difference between wanting to start up something and, of course, when you're starting a new project, there's things that need to be done, but you cannot go on forever like that, what? Everything has a cycle, right? Even if you look at organizational growth, there's cycles to it. So if you forever want to, this year sales, I want to hit this one. Then next year, I want to hit, it's already impossible. Next year, I want to hit even more impossible. Why? It's great, what?
Interesting.
Trying to make something succeed is one thing lah. But trying to line people's pockets is, I feel, another thing lah. And I don't know, it's like, so I had this conversation with, Gen Z people. And we were talking about going the extra mile for work. So for example, the reason that we stay after office hours is because we want to do that extra, right? So they were saying that, why do I want to put in that extra? Because I'm replaceable.
Yeah, that's one. Number 2, you don't get paid extra for doing extra.
Even if if they don't get paid for doing extra, they're replaceable. If they're going to fall ill or whatever, the company's not going to actually care. Yeah, they'll have benefits and stuff. And then one thing they said that hit me was like, because they've seen their parents being duped into this system and putting their whole life into a certain company or certain work and, beyond that 9 to 5. And what actually have they got to show for it or benefit for it when it's like a lot of it's like the family is the one that's paying the price lah. So now we have got this generation that's actually going back to 9 to 5. And I kind of think it's a good thing. People might say it's lazy or what, do the very minimum. But I think it's good lah, it's healthy lah.
So when I first started full-time freelancing, people are like, wow, so nice, flexible working hours, yada yada. You can work 2 hours, take a break, and then take another 4 hours, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I realized that is very disruptive to my productive level. Work 2 hours, then go and watch a movie, come back and work 2 hours. It's actually not very productive use of energy, but it's also mentally exhausting because you're like, oh, power up your mental work 2 hours, then go and play, come back, power up your mental. So you power up your work brain many times a day instead of just sitting at one window of time to complete stuff. So over the years, when my friends started, now very popular lah, freelancing, whatever.
Yeah.
Then they realized the flexible hour doesn't help in terms of mental efficiency.
You're right.
So, or even communication efficiency, because then there is always that breakdown of like, I talk to you and then, the person is napping. Then they reply you on a work reply like 4 hours later, but you are napping. So the communication, everything is not as efficient
smooth. It's not smooth.
Yeah.
It's like working with people on different time zone then.
Correct. So it's not as efficient as having a business 9 to 5, communicating with another business at 9 to 5. And doing some weird hours. So for me, the first year was just adapting to that. But I was very fast to just say, okay, my working hour is like my clients 9 to 5. Whether I got client or not, 9 to 5 lah. Like have to be ready to pick up my phone or reply stuff. And not do it middle of the night and then wait the next morning they reply. And so then if I do it after working hours, I'm working during after working hours, right? But then when my client reply me during working hours, I still have to attend. So I become working 18 hours. So that's where lies. Yeah, we all go back to 20th century before Henry Ford applied. I say, why are all my workers all half dead like that lah?
Yeah, but I think working flexible hours doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be no working hours. You know what I mean? It can be structured in such a way that it works best for you or your, let's say you're a new mom, right? And then you need to tend to your child to do this or whatever, or new dad lah. But it can be, this time is for that, and then I start work, for example, at 10 to, 1. And then after that, maybe I need a longer lunch break, and then after that, I have my next 5 hours after that. So it's still working hours
but
that is fixed for you.
Fixed time frame.
It's fixed lah. So you know that, okay, this one, and I think the beauty of that is it can also cater to your personal, what's that word? Work energy. Some of us are more optimum at different times of the day for different things. So I think that might probably work for a lot of people as well. If you don't have to layan the 9 to 5, the office inquiries or
have
to structure it lah.
Like the last time I was listening to this podcast in Singapore about this lady who started her own fashion brand. So she definitely said no touching of work until 10 a.m. So she told the staff, whatever urgent, whatever, it will be 10 a.m. onwards because I will manage my kids' breakfast, do my exercise, whatever, shower ready, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is all you have, work related. You talk to me now, or after that you wait for the next day. So she will work the focus hour, 4 hours.
Right.
And then 2 p.m. she will have a late lunch, and then it's back to family time. And for me, it's proper use of, that's the whole point of being a business owner lah,
Yeah.
So that you don't have to work 24 hours and worry about stuff. Like your staff supposed to worry about your stuff.
But the thing is, people will actually respect that and work around that.
Correct. So everyone just contribute to that focus hours, that kind of thing. So if you need your boss approval, hello, you got 4 hour window. You need to catch me something.
Yeah.
So if you call me at 11, let's say at 1:59, 2 o'clock, I'm going off work, right? I probably talk to you 1 minute. I say, okay, bye-bye, I have to go. I don't care whether it's urgent or not because you didn't follow that time. So that was how she ran her fashion brand, which has a lot of outlets in Singapore lah.
Okay.
So I thought 4 hours a day work is sufficient, but she said it's 4 hour intense work. Let's warm up with coffee, let's see communication, scroll, nothing. It's just no social media time. Just email, meeting, proposal done. That kind of things. Which I think I kind of envy lah.
Yeah. So I mean, if it's it's a die, something's burning down or something, of course you will drop and go lah. But yeah, I think actually we have this thing, that we think, right, the world cannot keep on spinning without us there sometimes. I think it's an ego thing also lah. Then you're like, I have to attend to this now. Otherwise, everything will be held up because of me. But actually,
but
no
I
lah.
also think that over the centuries, there is a competitive streak that's created by the media and the journalists.
Okay.
You know how they go she's so young, she got 10 outlets, what you're doing You know, that kind of thing. So it becomes like my one outlet at the age of 20 is not enough. I must have 20 because the fellow younger. So it created this unhealthy competition.
There's another thing that people, and this might be a topic for another day, but it's this mindset that working hard is more valued than working smart.
Yeah, that one still happen currently.
Yeah.
So I find it very hard. A lot of people, it takes a long time to change the way they think. So for example, I have worked with people before that insist of taking 10 steps because that's their comfort way of doing things.
Okay.
And then I'm like, but you just do this 3 step, reach there also already.
Yeah.
But they said they feel very insecure, uncomfortable, uneasy with taking that 3 step because they just don't trust the process. So they'll go through that 10 step. So I think not so much of, for me, like, okay lah, 10 step, 3 step, how you get there doesn't matter as long as you get there. But the fact that the media and the journalists always highlight people that, take the, the leap up so fast and make it sound like those who do the normal way and reach there is nothing.
Right.
You know, I finished the marathon, right? I might not finish first, but I finish. Shouldn't you all clap hand and say, I finish? You know, because you who's sitting down there as the audience can't even finish lah. But no, you only cheer the first person who finished, but the rest of us just, you're all lousy lah, You know, I think that's what's happening that causes a lot of people to try to be over-productive to, like, I need to be the next big thing. Or like, even if I write a book, the next door fellow already complete writing 10 books. Nobody celebrate me because everybody say, wow, you 1 year write 10 books. Gina only 1 year write 1 book.
That's another way of looking at it.
Yeah, then you feel like
quantity
all my
over quality.
effort, correct, all my effort inside. Then like, so I think that is part of social media contribution now. The whole flexing, like, hey, I got 10 books, you got 1 only, can actually subconsciously create a unhealthy drive for you to like, I must also, what I do is not enough, what I do is not enough, because other people always get glorified more. So that's what I think. So, but it's interesting that even as I say all this, right, I can know Henry Ford saying, you're all crazy running like some madness like that, right? And then I'm not getting the full value, quality of your work, right? Okay, come, everybody standardize, stop fighting.
Yeah.
Go and have lunch together. Like everybody 1 hour lunch, but everybody same hour, so you cannot compare.
Okay, so what would you do this week to help to regain a bit of that sanity? Or have you already been practicing it?
Well, at least I'm not touching my phone until 9 or 10 lah. So I will press my alarm, shut down, and then I try not to. Even though sometimes when I press my alarm off, I can see all the notification and I'm like, Gina should go and wash up, make my coffee, water my garden. Like then sit down with my plate of breakfast. Then I said, okay, now I open my message. Yeah. But sometimes, because I can see preview message, right? So sometimes the preview is not complete one, it's like 3 lines. Sometimes you see some emergency one, then even your piece is so interrupted, you can't even make coffee lah. Then I will sit down and attend to it. Then I will end up maybe 2 hours before I actually, I need to actually wash up. So I try to have a practice, like at least 2 hours after I wake up, then I touch my phone.
Oh, that's dangerous for me because I wake up very late, right? Then I might like...
Yeah, so I try to do that lah. Last time is like I will check my messages on the bed. Then I never leave my bed for the hour.
Yeah, me too.
Then I reply first. Then the fella replied. Then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to leave my bed. So I tried that. Sleeping wise, yeah, different lah. That one will be another episode that I have in mind to talk about, what we call it, doom scrolling.
Okay, I also have another episode in mind, so
let's move on to the next episode.
Jom Sembang Malaysia is hosted by 2 Malaysians who are passionate about Malaysian stuff.
Stay tuned every week for a brand new Sembang session with Cerita Suito and Gina Yap Layung.
Today's episode is recorded at Studio 2105.
Remember to click like and subscribe for the brand new episode next week.